Om Namah Shivaya. Welcome to Dots of Destiny. Today's video is about the transit of Mars in Punarvasu Nakshatra. This is a very long transit starting from the retrograde. Mars is now retrograde in Cancer. It will enter into Gemini. So I am talking from that point onwards when 21st January Mars will be in Punarvasu Nakshatra in Gemini, and then it'll retrograde, it'll keep on retrograding till 22nd of February, and then it'll become direct. So this is nearly 1 month of retrograde Mars transiting in Punarvasu from 21st January to 22nd February. That will be retrograde. Then it becomes direct in Punarvasu and starts moving from Gemini towards Cancer, and till 12th of April it will be in this nakshatra of Punarvasu. So it is a very long transit of Mars in Punarvasu, being a very benign nakshatra of renewal, new thinking, starting again, goodness, the arrow that shoots from the bow. That is what the figure that represents Punarvasu, and this is the arrow that exactly in a calibrated way reaches its target. And the target is never for utmost selfish satisfaction, especially the Cancer part of Punarvasu Nakshatra. This is a renewal of hope, faith. It's a very sattvic nakshatra and very passive also. You see prominent people with Punarvasu, if you have a Lagna or moon over there, they are self-content people, and they have some kind of a target is not the word, they have a path to follow. And this path is all about, building up again, renewal again, goodness again, hope for the hopeless. That is Punarvasu. No doubt that Lord Ram was a Cancer ascendant born in this nakshatra. There are many traits of this nakshatra, which I really like the way this nakshatra is. It is not... it's so sattvic that any kind of any kind of motive, if I can call it a motive, that is always for the society at large. It is not exactly the self-centered motive, though Gemini part of Punarvasu tends to be like that a little bit, but still ultimately from Adra to Punarvasu, it is a great journey. The chaotic Adra, which is required, not that it is not, though Adra always, when I've seen in horoscopes also, it's not an easy nakshatra. Wherever, if a special planet is there, Lagna is there, ascendant, moon, anything. So that storm, that teardrop, and then you begin the journey with Punarvasu. It is like, and there's a lot of travel involved in, it's a Jupiterian nakshatra. The deity is Aditi, the mother of the 12 solar gods. So this is the nurturing also. The Gemini part of it is more of traveling. Maybe as Mars is a very active planet, you do some travel in this big transit of Mars and Punarvasu. And the traveling is for learning actually. That traveling that happens in Gemini part of Punarvasu, or the renewal through whichever houses, as I talk about the ascendants they are going through, will give you the kind of nurturing that is required in the Cancer part of Punarvasu. The only problem with this transit, if I can put it in that way, is that Mars is neither comfortable in Gemini or neither in Cancer, because as you know, Mars is, see, as I said, it's a very sattvic nakshatra, it's a passive nakshatra, it's a hopeful renewal nakshatra, replenishing yourself, again knowing yourself. Mars does it in a very, that is the Marsy way, the energetic way. But this is the knowledge. Actually, the Jupiterian knowledge of Punarvasu is very important. Mars knowledge is not very deep. Like Jupiter, it is not that deep. It's more action. The knowledge that Mars requires in any field, wherever it is now transiting, in your Gemini and Cancer axis, in your horoscope, the knowledge of Mars is not like Jupiter. The understanding of Mars is not like Jupiter. So any kind of malefics in this nakshatra of Punarvasu, which is it is so, it's so vast. The knowledge makes you, how you get the knowledge, it's not just about studying. Because see, Gemini is a third house, and it is communication through travel, the outer knowledge, when you cross the boundaries. It is not the bookish knowledge exactly. As you go from one place to another, suppose if you visit all over India, it is a great land of diversity. Suppose you take a tour of India from north to south, east to west. The day you complete it, you are a different person. That is Punarvasu, the knowledge of travel, the knowledge of knowing people, the knowledge of knowing different kind of community, and then coming into acceptance is the nurturing part of Cancer. First is the traveling. Now Mars here can give that kind of a gusto. Mars is very active in Gemini actually, and it's at times rash and rough also, because it especially the communication can be aggressive. But then again, see, when Mars has crossed this nakshatra already, must have left something undone. That's why the retrograde of Mars in Gemini in Punarvasu is taking such a long time. Just imagine, from 21st January to 12th of April, nearly you can call 2nd of April it will enter Cancer. So this long time Mars is traveling in Gemini part of Punarvasu. So that is the renewal process you will be going through wherever Mars is now transiting in your horoscope. But nonetheless, I feel because everywhere, as we know, 2025 did not start with a very great gusto. A lot of things are happening around us, and this year is not an easy year. We understand that, as all my friends looking out there, they go through astrological videos or knowledge or whatever, and this is a Marsian year. So the beginning of Mars in the Punarvasu Nakshatra, this transit, I think if you get the knowledge what is required, as I said, one caution is that Mars knowledge is a little shallow, not like the depth of Jupiter. So, but knowing that if you go through that renewal process and then you start the journey of Mars, which is even more critical in Cancer and then in Leo, it meets Ketu over there, then in Virgo it opposes Saturn over there. So what not Mars is going through this year. So let's see how this nakshatra for different ascendants would help us. Nonetheless, I feel this transit is eye-opening and should be an eye-opening and a lot of experience giving transit, and that will renew us in some form or the other, especially wherever this transit is happening in our horoscope. So let's see what the ascendants have to go through for this transit. For Aries ascendants, this transit is the retrograde, your Lagna Lord going retrograde in the 3rd house. The 3rd house is a effective house for Mars. In Punarvasu, you can or you will be able to renew your efforts in a new way. Maybe the way you thought that it would be panning out before, when Mars transited into this nakshatra, it didn't happen, and now sorting your emotions, as Mars is in Cancer retrograde, because Cancer Mars is like it'll hit you emotionally and you have to get it sorted. Your emotional body should be able to sort itself out so that unnecessarily you don't get triggered. Now, as Mars moves back, it will on 21st of January, as this transit starts in Gemini, in Punarvasu Nakshatra in your third house, I feel you will renew your efforts of a new you. A new you through communication, through travel, through, and as I said, traveling gives a lot of understanding and healing also, internal healing. So that way it is a good transit for you. Only thing about Mars is that the behavior of Mars in Upachya houses is a little edgy, and at times it can go for bicker fighting. Bickering, fighting, unnecessary communication. That part, if that can be taken into account, if that can be sorted, then really this transit from especially the Gemini part, before 2nd of April, again Mars will come into your 4th house. So you're replenishing yourself, you're regenerating yourself, your Lagna Lord in the 3rd house. The transit should be good from 21st of January to 2nd of April. Think in a different way. Think for the, not the only problem with Mars in Punarvasu is sometimes the thought is too self-centric. Try to keep a little bit that at bay and try to think for the larger good and how you can settle yourself among the things. Because I know Aries people are having a tough time, no doubt. When the Lagna Lord is in a tumultuous position, the prominence of hardships in life is 100% bound to happen. But still, your courage, your decision making, your travels, your communication, your advertising, your marketing, or marketing yourself will take a new turn. I feel this 21st January to 2nd of April, you can again go for a renewal of self. So best of luck for the Aries ascendants. Taurus people. Taurus, this is happening in the 2nd house. Your Gemini sign is there in the 2nd house, and Mars will start its transit in the 2nd house from 21st of January. Till 2nd of April, it will come into the 3rd house into again debilitation. Now, this transit of Mars in Punarvasu is renewal of finances. Finances is very important at this point of time for everybody, definitely, but for Taurus, because Rahu is in the 11th, Jupiter is on the Lagna, and now Mars is in the 2nd house. So Rahu being in the 11th Lord on Lagna, and then Mars, a very go-getter planet, your 12th Lord and the 7th Lord comes into the 2nd house. Now see, this is somewhere your partner can also be involved in this renewal of finances, new thinking about finances, new way of understanding. You may see people and also get some new ideas, because understanding ideas, understanding people, this is part of Punarvasu. Only thing about this transit of Mars in Punarvasu, it is good. Renewal of many things in the 2nd house, especially financial things or even studies also. Mars 2nd house is for studies also. You may think of studying something, starting over. All these things is good, but 12th Lord in the 2nd can give some expenses also, maybe for the family. Maybe your wife is also, your husband or wife is involved in that. That can also happen. But nonetheless, Mars, I don't find Mars to be very good in the 2nd regarding other factors, like the communication can be rough, the dealing with people can be a little bit, harsh. At family, there can be some chaotic situations, but still, being the nakshatra, so benign and sattvic nakshatra Punarvasu, I think you will be able to mitigate through the process, through all those processes. And whatever is required for your family, your well-being, your immediate finances, your savings, your education, your learning, your speech, it will again take a new turn, a new thing about the 2nd house. With the involvement of the 12th and the 8th over there. 12th and the 7th house. So even your partner's finances can also see a renewal, if at all something is there in his or her horoscope like that. So nonetheless, it's not a bad transit, but it is not a very good, but it's a good start for the finances. If you are in that zone where finances are not exactly taking off, then this is the time it will take off, surely. Now, Gemini ascendants is on the Lagna, Mars on the Lagna, the 11th Lord and the 6th Lord. Oh my God. That is again renewal of yourself, assertive you, lot of desires with you. Mars puts a lot of desire whenever it comes on Gemini. I've seen that. And obviously it brings, because it's the 6th Lord, it brings with the transit lot of conflicts also. Health challenges can also be there. Maybe you are overworking yourself, you know. So these things can take prominence, but understand that traveling can also be part of this, whatever you are, you know, going towards, because Punarvasu is a nakshatra where traveling, communication, wider sphere, learning from traveling, all these things comes into play. And you are a Gemini ascendant. Being a Gemini, you cannot keep still. Mars will propel you to do more than do it. It's for your good. Your personality will take a different turn. It should. And because it's a long transit of Mars, first retrograde from 21st of January to 22nd of February, it will be retrograde on the Lagna, then going direct, and then only by 2nd of April it will enter into your Cancer house, the second house of money. Now, the 11th Lord is always, when it comes on the Lagna, it gives desires and profits. So what I feel, even a raise from the immediate wherever, whatever you're working with, can also come into play. It's a good transit. It'll make you full of life. It'll give you a lot of gusto, lot of feeling, go-getting, doing things. Only thing that don't put too much pressure on yourself or the people, and don't be too bossy. That is how Mars behave. And also take care of your health, because after all it is the 6th and the 11th Lord. Mars is not a great planet for your ascendant. You know that. So otherwise, to gain that, again, if you feel that Mercury was in Scorpio and it was a lot of things you have to deal with. Mercury has come into, it is in Sagittarius now, it is looking on the Lagna, it is aspecting, it will be aspecting, Mars and Mercury will be aspecting when Mars transits into your Lagna. So it's a new you. It is again renewal of forces within you. So I feel it's a great transit. Enjoy it. Okay, Cancer ascendant. Cancer people, that is the 12th house where Mars will be going into Punarvasu Nakshatra in Gemini sign from 21st January to 22nd February. It will be retrograde there, then direct till 2nd of April. Then it comes on your Lagna again. Now see, for Cancer people, I have faced people coming up and telling me it's been a very rough patch, and no doubt about that. Mars debilitated on the Lagna, the 10th Lord, cannot make you sit in a very, comfortable way. Mars is very hectic in the Lagna, and being in Cancer, as you are a very emotionally driven ascendant, your career house is always on a up and down thing, or the most of your energy goes over there. And the thing about Mars when it goes to 12th house is that it is telling you that through maybe just 12th house is seclusion first and foremost. Now seclusion does not always mean, there can be two meanings of it, like you are going outside alone and you are visiting things, because Punarvasu is not a very keeping you at home kind of thing. It wants to give you knowledge, it wants to make you travel. So you may travel alone, that can happen. Or if you are sitting alone at home, you can travel places through your media things also that you have, and you can gain some knowledge watching those things also. Now here, health you should be aware of, because health is a thing when Mars comes into the 12th house. And physically, if you are okay, because Ashtam Shani is still there, mentally also the mental health also comes over here. And Mars may tell you that here you need to get sorted mentally. You have to be more, the mental situation should be at your will, not at the will of others. Somebody may be doing something with you in the work area, maybe your boss, it's the 10th Lord. that cannot affect you to the extent that you feel that the life is just over for you. So much desperation Mars brings when it is in the 12th house, or maybe in the first house also when it's debilitated. That desperation, that energy should be calibrated or should be taken off from that direction to somewhere else. If something is not working out for you, try and understand that this is not the time. Wait for the time. Don't put all your attention into it. There are other areas where you can replenish, renew the goodness. That is how Punarvasu works, right? The new goodness, the ray of hope, the light. Because Adra, after Adra, Punarvasu comes. Adra is the tumultuous thing that Mars already did in the 12th house. Then did you forget to replenish yourself in the before transit of Mars in Punarvasu? Then do this time. Go through the healing process all by yourself. Don't invite people into your life. This is a you time. Maybe you work in seclusion. Maybe you work in that way, which take it up and make yourself feel comfortable. Some changes in work is inevitable. That's why Mars is traveling back again to the 12th house, and it's retrograde for a very long time. 1 month retrograde in Punarvasu. It's making you think how you can put your job perspectives, that is also very important. And your 5th lord also. If your children are going abroad for studying or another contemplation is needed, you have some issues with your children, you're thinking about them, all this will be it is not a very great transit, but at the same time when Mars is there, Jupiter is getting direct in the 11th house. So some monetary flows, if money was stuck in a job situation or something, that will happen. And see, for Cancer ascendants, many people had job cuts. I understand that 10th Lord in 12 gives some kind of a situation in the 10th area which is unavoidable. So job will happen. Don't be in a rush. It will come on the Lagna, then it will go to Leo. Ketu will come into Leo. Rahu will come into your 8th house. Generation of money will happen. And Jupiter isn't yet direct in the 11th house. That will also happen. So wait for a while. So that thing will happen. This transit, take it as a sense of renewal. You try to renew yourself, your energies, your well-being, and then start the journey again, knowing that from 2nd of April to 2nd of June, Mars will be on your ascendant, debilitated again. It will not be very easy, but by that time, by 2nd of April, Saturn will move from the 8th house to the 9th house. So some relief you will get definitely because of Ashtam Shani now moving gears. So take maximum time for yourself, sort out your official things, and things should be okay. 11th house, so again renewal of your monetary things and your desires and networking. Now the thing is that it's a good transit, no doubt about it, but 11th house is sometimes Mars works in a solitary way because Mars wants to dominate with the group activity also. So keeping that in mind, if you can calibrate it in a calibrated way, you can work with networks, then you know what, this transit of Mars will augur the process when Jupiter will come into your 11th house finally in the mid-May. Because this is a very long transit of Mars in your 11th house till 2nd of April. So really you can make the most about it, and Mars works wonders in the 11th house. It will aspect your 2nd house also. The aspect wise it is good in the 2nd house aspect. 5th house a little bit roughshod with your children, it can be, though Sagittarius is not a bad place for Mars. And then into Capricorn also. So this transit is really, renewal of networks, renewal of friendships, renewal of your desires in a different way maybe, because the retrograde Mars from 21st of January to 22nd of February will this time Mars will be retrograde in Gemini, part of Punarvasu. At this time you'll be able to come out with certain ideas. Again a ray of hope will come. Leo ascendant, so one thing is that whatever you are thinking about, because now you are going towards Ashtam Shani from the ascendant or from the moon sign, if you are Leo moon, be very cautious in your approach, as Mars will also reach the 12th house again. Your your overall well-being, your gains, optimism is good, but in whatever I'm trying to say is in a calibrated way, in thinking in depth, and then because overexcitement sometimes can land, different trouble also it creates. But it's a wonderful transit in the 11th house. Make the most of it. Virgo, it is your 10th house. 10th house, your third lord. Mars is your third lord, and this is your so your efforts goes into your 10th house. So this is actually a good transit of when the third lord comes into the 10th. It is understood that you are putting renewed effort in your 10th house area. That is understood. So this is a good transit for you. Yes, it is the 8th lord also. Now that means you have to somewhere leave your ego. The 8th lord brings transformation wherever it goes. 8th lord is a very interesting lord. You know why we feel a death-like situation. Sometimes you can feel like that. Maybe you felt like that when Mars previously traveled or transited your 10th house and then went to the 11th. Now it will come back on 21st of Jan again into your 10th house. Till 22nd February it will be retrograde in your 10th house, then it will go direct. Till 2nd of April it will be here, then it will go to Cancer in your 11th house. So what I'm trying to say is that 8th lord, when comes into the 10th house and also being the 3rd lord and in a nakshatra of renewal like Punarvasu, it's a great nakshatra, but it's a sattvic and passive nakshatra, not very aggressive like Mars. Here you have to, in whatever you are doing, because see, on the Lagna you still have Ketu. You had been in a confused state. You are fighting for your confusion to go away. That's good. Ketu will give that last leg, it will move and you'll feel, and you have a good transit of Jupiter Mars this year. Now, but the thing is that in the 10th house, Mars wants to be assertive. It is the domain of Mars. It gets exalted in the 10th house of Capricorn. So that's why you can feel very forceful. You can feel very renewed in your efforts with the 10th house. Do it. But understanding that again Mars will go into Cancer in the debilitation from 2nd of April. So do it in a calibrated way, in a thoughtful way. Try to put your best. Try to control your ego a little. Otherwise it's a good transit. But some changes is inevitable in the 10th house as it's the 8th lord. 8th lord, wherever it goes, it will bring some transformation. Some things has to go away and then only a new ray of hope, a new arrow will shoot out from your quiver. So it's a good transit. I cannot deny it. But just be aware and wary of the way you are going with the transit and your efforts. Have a good time. Libra ascendants after Virgo. So Libra, now Mars is in the 9th house. It is transiting in your 10th house. Now again it propels you towards journeys and learnings. Now Libra 10th house Mars already in debilitation is causing a lot of problem. And because you have a Saturn in the 5th house and Rahu in the 9th house, situation may not be very good. Now Mars is present in the 9th house is not a very great position. I mean, see, the 7th lord, okay, it comes into your the 7th lord and the 2nd lord comes into your 9th house. Now renewal of what? Maybe your faith. That is very important because Punarvasu is after all renewal, goodness again. Now Mars is not a faith oriented planet, it's a action oriented planet. So what I feel is that you go for journeys, or maybe with your bosses you have to strike a renewal of faith kind of a relationship. 9th house is also house of bosses. Maybe your father's health goes through a renewal. Maybe he needs a new kind of treatment. A new goodness comes with that. You know, 9th house is about trust and trust, not faith. I'll say trust is the 12th house. It is that's why Venus gets exalted over there, your Lagna Lord. Now it's nonetheless the transit is good with the nakshatra it is going through. Mars in the 9th is not very favored, but you and your spouse can go for the renewal of faith by going to a religious place also. maybe Mars is not the right planet to which gives that kind of a religious attitude towards you, but still you can. And that faith renewal happens all throughout from 21st January to 22nd of February. Retrograde Mars will make you make contacts through distance journeys with your bosses, with pilgrimages, with all these things, or maybe learning also. And learning mainly in Punarvasu is oriented with journeys, not exactly the bookish learning. So this is what your transit is in the 9th house. So this you have to go through this. Nonetheless, it's not a bad transit, but your money can also come through. Maybe you have a business overseas, or that requires traveling. You go for that. Your money comes. 10th house Mars again will happen from 2nd of April. So for that 10th house Mars, you have to go through this process, so that now when Mars goes in 10th house from 2nd of April, you know what to do. Keep care of your health also, as Mars will be aspecting the 12th house and your 3rd house, because you will have to put in efforts, and your 4th house also. So okay transit of Mars, take care of it and go with it. Scorpio ascendants is the 8th house Mars. Oh, the Lagna Lord coming into the 8th house again. First is your health. You should keep a tab on that. You are going for a renewal of yourself. Now I feel after this, the 9th house Mars, which whatever, it had made you travel, it had made you useless journeys, maybe useless emotions with maybe the father, maybe the boss, maybe anybody. Again, 8th house Mars is something to deal with your renewing yourself from within. So that now when Mars goes into, you have a transit waiting for you, like Mars coming into the 9th and then 10th and 11th. It is especially Scorpio ascendants, when Mars will reach to the 10th house in 2nd of June, and then into Virgo in the 11th house, Libra, and then Scorpio. These 4 transits of Mars this year, it will happen. That is why you have to renew yourself. Renew with what? See, some kind of a thing inside you must die. 8th house is the house of death, and it is for good. I have seen a lot of times people feel very unhappy with 8th house transit, but later you realize that death of myself, my unnecessary things within me, was required for my progress now in the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th and 1st Mars. Mars will come into Scorpio after by the end of October. So this year you have very important transits of your Lagna Lord, but this is the time to renew yourself with new faith, new hope. The quiver of arrows, which arrow you have to pick up and where to shoot it, you must know. Contemplation is required for that. You cannot jump into it. I feel this is a good transit for me. Yeah, you can think about joint ventures, finances. That is a trait of Scorpio. They like doing that. 8th house is known for that. Unearned money that is kept secret, not told to people. That is Scorpio, right? So this is a transit to look forward to, I feel. How much people may disagree with me, but I feel this is a transit you must go through very diligently, thinking and working out the process that can renew you. It is you that is getting renewed after all, and then everything settles. It's a major transit of Mars with Ketu, and opposite Saturn will be coming out. How will you do things without renewing yourself? Go for it. It's a good transit. Okay, then Sagittarius. Sagittarius, Mars is coming into the 7th house. Again, renewal of relationship. Now see, Mars in the 7th house is a dictator. We don't want it in the 7th house. 7th house is for Libra. It is for diplomatic ties. Saturn gets exalted there. That's why. Mars is a go-getter. It is obviously it's your 5th lord and the 12th lord in the 2nd house. Some changes in the 7th house you need to make. A renewal of your relationship, whether partnership, whether foreign contacts, whether with your married partner. It is aspecting your Lagna. It is giving you the strength. Now. Maybe you'll understand, because Mars is now in the 8th house and then it will come back to your 7th house. After a transformation, Maybe your progeny is going through a transformation. Maybe your resources, how much to spend, how much to talk, how much to deal with your partners. What is the essence of your partnership, or even as simple as the marriage, what you're working out now. Maybe you're working out your marriage. Or maybe with your in-laws, maybe with yourself, maybe with you and your partner. So what is the thing that needs to be renewed? Problem with Mars is that it wants to dictate the thing. No, dictatorship in the 7th house cannot run. Though it is Mars, which is in Punarvasu, put the energy of Mars, but not in a dictator way, in a calibrated way, in a proper way, in a conversation or traveling with the partner can be a great idea during this time. But don't only, you take up a thing and I want to travel here, you follow me. Not like that. Consent of both the people. A partnership of a business. If you are thinking or contemplating some kind of those business partnerships which needs a renewal, maybe it had gone for a sour taste. Try to make it happen. Saturn will, 3rd house, your efforts is there. Mars is looking on the Lagna, to the 10th house, to the 2nd house. The Drishti of Mars is not bad. 10th house in Virgo, it will give you the effort Saturn is making you put in the 3rd house. The 10th house, Mars will reach there. After it's by August, it will be reaching there in your 10th house. So your partnership, how it turns, business partnership, the 10th house effect of Mars will like that if you're at all in a business. Take care of your health, obviously, because Jupiter is still in the 6th house. Mars in the 7th, 8th is not a very good place to give you. It can give sudden accidents if you are loosely, dealing with things. But still the nakshatra is telling you to find a new ray of hope. Find a new you within this partnership, in that way. It is a 50-50 transit, I'll say. I cannot say it's a great transit of Mars. Mars Maran Karakstan is the 7th. Mars is the 1st house, right? Aries. It doesn't want to go for a compromise. But if you have to, let's see it in that way, that you have to. Renewed partnership, renewed efforts, renewed things will happen. Why not? Let's give it a try. Capricorn ascendant, 6th house Mars. 6th house Mars, the 4th lord and the 11th lord comes into the 6th house. If you are going for some competitive exams, you have been studying and all these things, you will go with a gusto. Maybe you made some mistakes, you will be able to understand what are the mistakes, you will not repeat it in the next time. A renewal will happen. Health-wise also, if you are facing something which needs another effort or a second opinion, maybe that can also be sorted out in the 6th house. Now land issues, property, real estates, all these things, again a renewed effort in the 6th house, a renewed, maybe you are consulting your lawyer, maybe you are in court dealing with such things, a renewal of dates comes in. 11th lord in the 6th is usually gains from competitive things, usually. But this transit of Mars is not easy, though it is your 11th lord. The 6th Mars is still, but the 7th Mars is even more. So if you had a marriage relation issues, if you're going through some court settlements, whether it's a land issue, whether it's a marriage issue, whether it's a competitive exam, again it is a renewal on those part of your life. Not that the transit is very easy one, neither I can say it's a very good one. Mars works good in the 6th house, but the transit itself, the aim of the transit is not a very good kind of a thing. It is like survival, because why Mars does good in the 6th house is that it knows how to survive. The Upachya house is Mars, it fights out the things. So you are fighting here. Now whether in communication, whether in traveling, you have to deal with certain issues, but you renew, a renewed process of that is happening again. Maybe before, when Mars was there, it was not done properly, and again you have to go through that process. But in this process, when you had this transit before in October, November, it was not helpful. Maybe this time it helps you to sort out the things in the 6th house area regarding the 4th or the 11th house. So maybe regarding your brothers, maybe anything. Maybe you had a in the seventh house you had a problem. Now Mars is in the seventh house, you have a problem with your partner, maybe your physique. You again look back and take an appointment with another doctor and sort out the things in that way, all these things. So it's a okay transit. Try to understand that what renewal it is asking you to, and generate it, and then you'll be able to meet out with the challenges, though not an easy transit. That's understood. Aquarius, Mars is in the 5th house of Gemini. From 21st January, it is retrograde in your 5th house. It was in your 6th house, and it was aspecting your Lagna, where Saturn is already there. I feel you will get a little bit of relief from the kind of things that were happening in the 6th house. Because see, Mars in the 6th house is not bad, but debilitated means it do not have the resources to fight with all the things that is happening in the 6th house. That's the problem. Now, when Mars comes to the 5th house, it's not good for love affairs or with the children. It's not good. Mars is not wanted in the 5th house. It gives an unnecessary obsession, unnecessary sex with in a relationship. All these are not required. Mars in the 5th house is actually, I don't like the combination. But anyway, when it is a logical, technical, intellectual, sports oriented things, then it's okay. Because any hobbies that need a physical kind of a flavor, Mars does very good in the 5th house. It gives the gusto, it gives the aptitude, because Mercury and Mars, right? It knows how to think and process. The renewal of your intellect, how to deal with the things. Now, as Mars again will go into the 6th, 7th, 8th. If you're running a Mars, because it is your 10th lord, it's your 3rd lord and the 10th lord, you may be thinking of some name, fame, promotion. 5th house, maybe you get it, maybe some changes will be there, then only you will be able to get it. Saturn, the last leg of Saturn, only 2 months left for Saturn now aspecting your 10th house. So these things, maybe it comes, or maybe you do some changes and get a renewal, a hope, a goodness again back in your life. But for the love affairs and all, this is just a touch and go thing. It's nothing very stable over here. But the transit of this Mars is it has to, you have to, if you're dealing with your progeny, some problem is there, you have to renew that sense. You have to renew your way of handling that situation, because after that again Mars will come into your 6th house, then 7th house, then 8th house, then 9th house. Till end of October it will come into your 10th house. Then I can say, okay, the transit of Mars is good now. Otherwise, all this, if you're running a Dasha, Antardasha, Rahu, Mars, Saturn, all malefics, you have to be very careful about your health, where you put your efforts, how you are dealing in your office, how you are dealing with your progeny, how you're dealing with your colleagues, all these things. So be prepared to renew yourself in all this area, and this is an intellectual renewal. In the intelligence should be renewed in the 5th house. Mars is an intelligent planet in that way. Maybe its depth of knowledge is not as like Jupiterian knowledge, but it is intelligent. Mars is logic. Mars is mathematics also. So that way, take the transit in that flavor and renew the things that are required to be renewed to continue with the process of Mars ahead in this year. It's a Marsian year also. Now, Pisces ascendant. Pisces ascendant is in your 4th house. 4th house, Mars is rash. We all know that. The 4th and 5th transit of Mars that is happening for you, the Bhagya Lord is, it is going through phases that is not very easy for Mars to go through. Now, it is your 2nd Lord also. The 2nd Lord in the 4th house can be related to land, property, real estates, money from there, or, all these things can get a boost again. Maybe you want to generate money from there. Maybe you go for it can happen. It can well happen, because after Mars is there in your 4th house from 21st of January to 22nd of February, and this time it is retrograde. From 22nd February to 2nd of April it will be in your 4th house direct, then it goes to 5th house. By that and after that May month, Jupiter comes into the 4th. So Mars is trying to first make these renewal of the 4th house happening. Maybe your mother health is not very good, you have to look after and think in a different way how to deal with her. Maybe your home front is a little bit chaotic. Now you know how to deal with it, how to process the things, especially if you're in a Mars is in a governing dasha, antardasha, especially antardasha, pratyantardasha position. So then this transit becomes even more important. Now the light of this transit is that it is again finding the light through the hardships. Punarvasu is a Jupiterian nakshatra. It is a nakshatra for traveling also. Now you may have to travel, maybe travel in the sense, maybe you go with your family members, or maybe within yourself you have to travel and find out the clues that lies ahead. Because this is how the transit, it will help you to sort all the, because Mars is very rough in the 4th house. It creates unnecessary tensions in the 4th house, how to mitigate those things. But money generation through real estates, buying, selling, these things can be favored in this transit. The Bhagya Lord comes to the Bhagya position by the end of October. Till then, this process of Mars goes through a lot of changes, especially in Leo in your 6th house. Ketu will come, Mars will have a conjunction over there. Then the 7th house, it will be aspected by Saturn. By then Saturn will come on the Lagna. So your internal process, your heart, Mars is very difficult with the 4th Mars. Heart becomes very irritable. Irritability is generated there. You have to think how to process these things so that you find a new hope, a new renewal of your Bhagya Lord. So that's the thing. This is the whole transit of Mars. It is an interesting transit, though Mars, as I said before also, is not very suitable for Punarvasu, but still the majestic quality of Mars is that it's a go-getter. So go and get the light that you have to get in your life, the goodness back, the arrow that you want to shoot. Punarvasu never, usually it goes in the right direction and comes back again. So this is a good transit, make use of it, and I'll see you later with another transit or another video. Let's see what. Till then, take good care. Bye-bye.